Hello and welcome to the Vogue Business and Worldpay Master Class, How to Create Seamless Omnichannel Experiences. I'm Megan McDowell and I'm the Senior Innovation Editor at Vogue Business. Throughout the 5 episodes in this masterclass series, I am joined by brands from across the fashion and luxury industry. We'll explore omnichannel, which is loosely defined as the ability for brands to reach consumers through multiple channels. While it originally referred to just selling both online and offline, it now includes blended sales channels and new platforms such as gaming and social media. And in the past year, omnichannel capabilities became crucial. For this week's episode, I am joined by Farfetch Chief Platform Officer, Kelly Cowell. Welcome, Kelly.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So tell me, first of all, what does your role mean, Chief Platform Officer? I feel like Farfetch does a lot of things that people might not even realize.
Yes, and thank you for the question. It's a great question. So I think most people are very familiar with Farfetch as Farfetch.com, the marketplace, but we have an entire different business, which is a platform business. And the division that I run is Farfetch Platform Solutions. And really what that means is we essentially take the technology and services that we built for our own platform, and we white label that out for brands and retailers. And that could mean anything from driving their full end-to-end e-commerce solutions, including global logistics, or it could mean providing modules such as in-store technology. And I think the other part of my role really is more around the forward looking as well. So it's not just about what we have today in the technology that we can offer, but it's really about building the products and the solutions that brands and retailers need in the short to medium term as well. So we know the industry is moving very, very quickly. For instance, a business model that's coming to fruition quite quickly is an e-concession online business model. And that's traditionally something that retailers can't accommodate. So my business unit is effectively creating an e-concession product to benefit both brands and retailers. So it's really about driving our wider platform strategy for the now and for the future as well.
Sounds like a lot. Sounds very interesting. I want to get back to e-concessions in a minute because I think that is really top of mind for brands and retailers right now. But before we do that, you kind of mentioned that this idea of omnichannel and how it's really changed and become more important in the past year. How do you define this term, if you even define it at all? Because I know it's kind of become such a broad term at this point.
It is a really broad term. And actually, our definition for omnichannel is that it's very broad. So it's effectively anywhere or any environment your customer interacts with you. So I think you said it perfectly at the beginning. People used to think it was just online and offline, but it's really, it could be digital, it could be physical, it could be virtual, which is something that we're seeing more and more. So it's incredibly relevant. And I think, we saw this much more during COVID as well, is really having brands and retailers connect with their consumers and being forced to look at the wider sort of ecosystem of where their customers are really interacting with them. And I think customers, they just want a seamless interaction with a brand. They don't really care where the inventory is sat. So they want to walk into a store, and if they don't have the inventory right there and they've seen it online, they want to be able to have the sales associate order them. So I think it's really about defining the customer journey and the customer touch points that you have in any environment, whether again that's social or digital or virtual, and putting the customer back at the heart of what we're trying to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know we mentioned e-concessions. I'd love to go back to that and kind of talk broadly about the core technologies or tools that brands and retailers are finding really relevant right now. I feel like maybe e-concessions is one good example, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on both e-concessions and then beyond that, what's top of mind for them.
Yeah, I think so. E-concessions is a really big one. And we've seen this trend over the past few years where brands really want to go to a concession model with retailers. They have a concession model, most of them in the department stores, and really wanted to go concession online so that they have more control, and also they can have sort of more inventory as well. So it really works both for the brand and the retailer. But traditionally, the retailers haven't had the technology or the tools to be able to do that. So if you think about Farfetch.com, we are essentially an e-concession model. So what we're doing is we're taking that technology and building a tool that retailers can use, and it comes, out of the box with all of the integrations that we have with the brands, that they can then implement online, so that they can have an e-concession model online to replicate their concession model in store. And I think what's important is that it's not just the technology, but it comes already with the integrations into the brand inventory. So it's really about having one connection into our platform, unlocking so many different sort of, so much different sort of technology and solutions that they can use. And I think it's something we're really excited about, because we're looking at the way the industry is moving, and we want to be able to provide those solutions. So that's one sort of emerging technology that we're seeing. And I think an interesting one is clienteling. And I think a lot of people, it's like omnichannel, they talk about clienteling, and it means very different things to very different people. But I think that what we're seeing is that there's a big focus on clienteling and putting the power back in the sales associates' hands. So it's something we've been really focused about in connected retail as well as one of our solutions. And I think it really comes for two reasons. One is because, when the stores were closed during COVID, the sales associates needed a way that they could continue to actually, speak with their clients. And so really making sure that they still gave that one-to-one personalized experience, whether it's a VIP or a regular shopper. But the flip side now that we're seeing is that now that the stores are opening back up, the sales associates need a way to understand what these clients have been doing online, what their preferences are, and really to be able to give a personal and a personalized experience. So that's something that we're really focused on as well within our connected retail solution. And I think the third one that we're really working on is virtual try-on. And virtual try-on for me has many different use cases. And I think traditionally I used to think, it's just an online, an online use case. You want to be able to see what the handbag looks like, or what the shoe looks like, or what a piece of jewelry looks like. But increasingly, we've been rolling this out in the physical space as well. And one of the retailers' challenges is the fact that they don't always have their full catalog in their store. And so it's a way that actually a sales associate can be showing their full catalog. And while the client is there, they can actually be trying on virtually a watch that they might not have in store, see what it looks like. And if if they like it, then the sales associate can order it directly into the store or have it shipped at home. So it's about using these technologies to truly blend what you're doing wherever you are at any sort of instance.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So I want to go back to this quickly, just this idea of concessions, because once you understand how it works, it makes total sense, but it might not be obvious as a casual shopper. So as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, as I understand it is, so it would be similar to like in a department store, if a brand essentially rented space in the department store. So instead of the department store owning inventory through a wholesale relationship, the brand actually owns the inventory, and the retailer just acts sort of as the marketplace or the seller. And so in online e-concessions, it's similar. Is that correct? So it's like the brand can sell in multiple channels, but the department store doesn't have to buy the inventory separately?
That's exactly right. So it's effectively making department stores like a marketplace. So the department stores love it because basically they have access to a lot more inventory, and they don't actually have to, take the risk of buying it. So then that means instead of having to buy narrow and deep, they can actually show the full collection, or depending on who their client or their customer is, really work with that brand to understand what the best selection is. And then the brands love it because they have full control. So they have control of their inventory, of their pricing, and they're moving away from the wholesale model into a more direct to consumer model. And they're just using sort of the department store website as another sales channel to, interact with their customers. So yeah, you've said it perfectly. It's about basically making the department stores more of a marketplace model.
That's so interesting. So then the brand can sell, like if I'm looking at a trench coat online, I might not realize, even if I'm seeing it in multiple places, it's the same trench coat that I can buy from the same pool of inventory. I can see how that would make a lot of sense.
It does. It's about actually being really clever with your inventory. So it's about saying, I have this inventory here, and I can sell on this channel, this channel, this channel. And because we're connected with all of these different sales channels, it is that single trench. So if somebody buys it on site A, it then removes from site B, C, and D.
Wow.
Because we're managing all of that pool of inventory, and it's all updated in real time. The customer's happy because they effectively receive it, and they're not aware that it's effectively sold directly from the brand. They're just using that as a sales channel themselves.
So Farfetch essentially started out as a marketplace that enables global boutiques to kind of sell their inventory to global customers. I can imagine that would be a very complex business model when you're talking about different currencies, different geographies. What kind of solutions does Farfetch offer that have been informed by kind of its experience that it can let retailers and brands use?
Yeah, it's one of our strongest propositions. As you said, we were global from day one, and that meant shipping from 5 different countries into a global network, which is very complicated. And so, I think people used to think of us as like this tech fashion company, but actually a huge part of what we do is operations. And it's about sort of inventory management. It's about cross-border logistics. It's about currencies. It's about language. And everything that we've built for ourselves, we've actually built directly into the platform. So part of the beauty of our platform is that for a brand and retailer, partnering with us, they get this straight out of the box. So they don't have to worry about setting up local currencies, or they don't have to worry about setting up, global logistics with duties, inclusive pricing, and all of the tax regulations. It's already built into our platform. So from day one, you could be a brand that starts shipping immediately into all of these different countries, reaching customers from, places that you never thought you could. Because on top of that, what we do is we have a digital marketing team. So we then have that digital marketing team who's very well versed in global marketing pair up so that it's not just about sort of the what, but it's also about the how. So how do you attract those customers? Yes, you can ship globally, but also it's about making sure that the customers out there know that you can do this as well. So that's been something that's been really successful for the brands and retailers that we work with, is providing the tools and technology, but then also providing the know-how as well.
Well, you mentioned kind of new channels, and we're talking in the beginning about expanding beyond just quote unquote offline and online. I'd love to hear any experiments or thoughts on new platforms and channels like gaming, social media, the metaverse. I know virtual try-on is kind of part of that conversation. So what are you excited about there, or what are you working on there?
So one that we're really excited about is actually, we would consider a new sales channel, but it's effectively opening up stores for our brands and retailers on Tmall. So we get so many brands and retailers saying, how do we actually crack China? And what we're doing is you can partner with us on Farfetch.com and be included in our Farfetch.com Tmall store, or we can build you your own Tmall store that is, dedicated to you, and it's brand.com Tmall store. So that's a sales channel that we're putting a lot of effort into, and that's coming directly from the appetite from brands and retailers. But the other one that we're really exploring with some of our brands is really around the use of NFTs. And this is very, very new for us. But looking at the NFT marketplaces, trying to understand the use cases of what drives someone to want an NFT, how could it be traded, what are the currencies that we need to be having, and it's all very new to me, so I'm still getting my head around this, but I'm finding it absolutely fascinating, and trying to get into like the psychology of the customer about what is it about NFTs that's getting them so excited. So really learning about the world of NFTs.
Well, I think everyone is joining you in viewing this as a new frontier. I feel like no one really has the answers yet, but that's really cool to hear that you're working on it.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. And we have some sort of proof of concepts that will be going live in likely Q3 and Q4. And so testing just, one NFT with one of our brands. So yeah, I'm really excited to be able to put that live and actually just really learn about what's behind it all.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. I love that. Well, these are all amazing insights, but I hate to say this is all the time we have for this week. So thank you, Kelly, so much for sharing your time with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
We hope to see you at next week's episode, where we will be joined by WorldPay from FIS to continue to explore how to create seamless omnichannel experiences. Thanks for joining, and goodbye.